Most people dream of leaving the place they are and taking a trip. So, yes, I'm leaving now. I've always dreamed of going to a tropical country that I can hear the music on the streets and has a colorful view all over the city for a very long time. Initially, I wanted to go to South America, but as I was looking into it, some of the countries were not very safe. So, as I looked around, I found a country that was perfect for me. It's the island in the Caribbean Sea called Cuba. To go to Cuba, I had to transfer from Toronto, Canada, because there's no direct flight going from Korea to Cuba. I was stuck in the airplane for almost 16 hours except for the waiting time in Toronto. With the layover in Toronto and my leg cramps, I arrived in the Republic of Cuba. The capital city is Havana, that you've probably heard of, and the Cubans speak Spanish, like many other Latin American countries do. Also, it's one of the last communist countries here on Earth. When arriving in Cuba for the first time, you feel humidity as the air hits your skin. The most unfamiliar thing is the cars driving around on the road. It's like taking a time machine. The old cars are still in service, even many that are older than me. Some are even older than my father. So for the old car maniac, it's the paradise for them. The unique view is not only to attracting tourists because of the economic sanctions of America. This is what makes traveling to Cuba more interesting. Of course, I could find modern taxis, but I took old cars because I thought I wouldn't have a chance to take this kind of a car later in my life. After the nomination of the diplomatic relationship with America, the cars are changing to new ones. So it might disappear someday. You need to come sooner than later. And another unfamiliar thing is that there are no traffic signs on the roads. I could find very few traffic signs in the whole city. This is Havana Vieja. It's the center of Havana. After the age of exploration, it still keeps the atmosphere of that time. When the other side of the earth changes every day, we can walk back to the few centuries. The carriages are still riding the roads. Of course, it's for the traveler. Here is the main street of Havana Vieja called Obispo Street. When I walked the street on the first day, I found it an unusual thing that I've never experienced. In Havana, you can hear the music in everywhere with live sound. The musicians are playing on each avenue far from the distance that doesn't mix up. And most of the restaurants have their own band to turn the music on. Each band has their own personality, so there's a little bit of fun to find in your own favorite place. One day I saw a passionate couple who cannot be patient to stand up and dance. And it's a pretty normal thing in Havana. Also, I found my favorite place. It's called Now. Now is a pub located at the end of the Obispo Street. Just like other pubs, there is a wonderful band and cocktails. And the most attractive thing here is the breeze coming from the sea that flows through the narrow alley. This is the Plaza Vieja, which is the center of the city. and it's easy to find this building named Camera Obscura. On the roof of this building, there's a machine that was preserved for centuries. It was designed by Leonardo da Vinci. Known from the name of it, it's a prototype of the camera that we are using now. This great lens captures the image of the scenery. Through the lens, I could discover the other side of Havana. Children running around the square, people having a late dinner, and travelers who found intimacy of the city. Also, this is the highest building around here, so it is the best observatory around the city. Another attraction of Havana is the Malecon. To me, it was the most beautiful spot I've been. It's a coastal road surrounding the Havana city. It's almost 7 kilometers long, and buildings and seawalls are relaying beside the road. And when the sun goes down, the people come out and have a rest. Some people with friends, some people with fishes. Most of all, I saw the most beautiful sunset ever in my life. Really, I've never seen and recognized how red the sunset is. The sky was full of red and deepened in color more and more. Finally, it remains the indigo blue in the sky. And when the color vanishes beyond the horizon, at last the night of Havana comes out. This is the home of Sissy that I stayed for 2 weeks. There are 4 members of the family who have lived here for a long time. After the Communist Revolution, her father provided this house. And time after time, his grandson is growing up here with a devotion of his family. On the last day, the weather was great as usual. I didn't know this would be the last time to see the beautiful cloud like this ever. When I travel to other countries, I love the tourist spots and galleries. But in the case of Cuba, the entire city is the tourist spot. Every alleys, all the people were captured me every time. And in other countries, I had followed the routine like a typical tourist traveler, of course. However, in Havana, I created the routine. Every day I had no specific destination. I just walked along the streets and made my own traveler guide. So as I stay, I always found something new everywhere. So why don't you make your own?